welcome back to our latest edition of West Coast XE. I'm your host, Ken Martinez. And if you could do us a really easy favor, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you can press the subscribe button, that would be great. If you're listening to us on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, if you could follow, that would also be super duper helpful. We really appreciate it. This week is dedicated to Nike Indoor Nationals. West Coast meets East Coast. This is the first time that we are on the East Coast covering a meet, and we're really looking forward to it. My wife and I will be going. We'll have 2 cameras, so we'll get a lot of pictures of the distance races. And since it's dedicated to Nike Indoor Nationals, we are going to be talking to 2 people on this week's episode, talking to Jonathan Schindel. He's the co-president and CFO of the Armory, and he's going to talk about a little bit about the Armory, just the description of the Armory and the history of the Armory and how they prepare for meets. It's super interesting. Equally super interesting is talking to Oliver Hinson. He is working for DyeStat this weekend at the Nike Indoor Nationals, and he gives us some insight on who he thinks are some of the favorites in the different distance races this weekend at Nike Indoor Nationals at the Armory. So let's go ahead and meet our guests. Well, I'm happy to have our guest here, Jonathan Schindel of the Armory. Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, Ken. How are you?
I'm great. I have some questions for you. I'm headed to New York City later on this week to watch the Nike Indoor Nationals. I have never been to the Armory, and so my questions will satisfy my curiosity, but I'm sure it'll also satisfy the curiosity of our viewers and listeners. First of all, Jonathan, what is your role at the Armory?
I'm the co-president here at the Armory Foundation.
And what do you do as a co-president?
So often I'll tell my colleagues my job is to work for them, that all of my colleagues are passionate about what they do here. And my job is to help them do what they do as well as they can possibly do it and provide them all the tools to be superstars in all that we do here.
Awesome. Can you describe to me and to our listeners exactly like what is the Armory? Where is it located?
So the Armory is, so to some people, it's the epicenter of indoor track. To some other people, it's a home away from home. And to some other people, it is a iconic venue. We serve different audiences, but we're mainly known for indoor track. And I think it would help to give a little bit of history of the building, and then you'll see why we are who we are. Many people may not know we're a nonprofit that operates a New York City-owned building. It's a very unusual private-public partnership. The building itself was built more than 100 years ago for the New York State militia. And the track that everybody thinks of as the Armory was the drill floor, where there was very heavy equipment and the troops ran their drills. A little more than 100 years ago, one of the lieutenants wanted the troops to get a little exercise, so he painted some lines on the wooden floor. And that began the historic beginning of the Armory as a track and field venue.
Wow.
And then for decades after decades, in the 20s, the 1930s, and on and on and on, this became a place where people ran indoor track. And before the big 4 sports of football, baseball, basketball, and hockey, this was where people got their activity and knew where to watch indoor track. New York City had a major homeless crisis in the 1980s, and the whole building was sold from the state to the city to house homeless people. And there were nearly 2,000 beds in the middle of the track, and track and field stopped here. It stopped entirely. And then when the building was going to be repurposed, Norb Sander who ran here as a kid, politicked to have it turned back into a track and field facility. And he was persistent, he was gritty, he was determined. He's the only New York City male to ever have won the New York City Marathon. And he got the keys from then Mayor David Dinkins. And inch by inch, he turned it back into a track and field facility. And then it once again became sort of the epicenter of indoor track. And I think of the Armory as multiple businesses wrapped into one. We have track and field, which is from 6:30 a.m. till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, pretty much 7 days a week from October until April. So it's really but bursting at the seams. We have 105 track meets. We have about 45 hours of practice each week crammed around those 105 track meets. It's all ages from little 6-year-olds to 95-year-olds. Our core is high school students. It's probably about 70 or 75% of our track meets. It's high school students from New York City, from the tri-state area, from the whole East Coast, Maine down to Virginia, all season long, out west to Pennsylvania and Ohio, and of course, nationally with the Nike Indoor Nationals. We have more than a dozen college track meets each year. We have more than a dozen adult track meets each year. I participate in some of them.
Oh, great.
And of course, we have the Melrose Games, which is, the iconic and most prestigious indoor track meet in the world with professionals as well. In and around all that track and field activity, we have enormous amounts of community programs. Every kid who steps on our track really has an opportunity to participate in these educational programs. Twice a week, we have track and field for kids in Northern Manhattan, totally free. We supply the coaches for 500 kids. And all those kids are eligible to sign up for after-school educational programs. All the high school kids who practice here, the New York City high school students, they can participate in our free Armory College prep program, where we keep the kids after practice till 8 or 8:30 at night. We provide rigorous educational programming for them. We take them on college visits. We help them with their college applications, their SATs. We find them grants and scholarships. For the past 8 years, 100% of them, have been accepted into 4-year colleges. And then we even get them summer internships at hospitals, at hedge funds, at accounting firms, to help them on their career paths. It's full wraparound. They're part of the Armory family. We spend well over $1 million a year on the Armory College prep and younger programs, but it's important to our community. We even have a twice a week exercise program for seniors in the community. So in and around track and field, that's just the core of what we do. And then that extends to things like these educational programs. And then during the off season, we'll have a lot of events that people aren't familiar with. We'll have graduations, we'll have expos, we'll have the bar exam for people who want to become attorneys.
Wow.
We have all these programs to bring in the funding, because anybody who knows track and field knows it doesn't really pay all the expenses. We have a big, beautiful building here to keep on improving each year. We want to make the sport of track and field as exciting as possible. I think you'll see that this week at Nike Indoor Nationals. I think that people who have come to the Armory 10, 15 years ago, who come here today, are blown away by all the changes that we've made here. I think for us on the East Coast, when I describe it to someone who's never been here, I say, imagine Madison Square Garden or Yankee Stadium open their doors pretty much every day for anybody from the public to come in off the street and play and train.
That's great. My neighbor, I was out in my front yard yesterday. My neighbor said, "Oh, I went there 2 years ago. It's it's like a museum. There's like I guess you can walk and you've got some history out in the concourse. Is that correct?"
Yes, so we're also the home of the National Track and Field Hall of Fame.
Okay.
So, football has Canton, Ohio, and baseball has Cooperstown. Track and field has the Armory, and there's some amazing historical mementos here. We display them around the arena. So it's just one more activity that gets wrapped into all that goes on here. We have about more than 300,000 people come through our doors each year. So it's a busy, busy place.
Oh. And also you guys, it's a charity too. Is that correct?
Well, the Armory Foundation itself, which runs the Armory, is a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
So we support ourselves through, donations to our nonprofit from these special events. We've had 2 bar mitzvahs here.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had a wedding, not yet, but we will have one soon. And then the earned income from track and field activities. So we wrap all of our activities within our nonprofit. And the more money we raise, the more money we spend.
Now, I've watched the Millrose games. It seems like just an amazing setting, really exciting place. How many seats does it have?
So we have permanent 2,736 seats, not that I'm counting.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Millrose, we bring in additional seating as well. We have a bunch of standing room only areas. We have a bunch of hospitality areas as well. So all told, we have 5,000 plus people at the Millrose games.
Wow.
This past year was the earliest sellout we've ever had. And I think New York City and people traveling from afar really help make the event tremendously special. They bring incredible excitement. Ray Flynn, who's the meet director and our team here at the Armory, do an amazing job of making it as unforgettable of an experience as possible. The number of people who have come here who say, my dad brought me to the Millrose games when I was a kid, and now I'm bringing mine. And I'm part of the same story. My dad brought me when I was a kid, and I brought my kids. So it's really an heirloom type event that gets passed from generation to generation.
And this weekend, you're having a 4-day event, Nike Indoor Nationals. I don't want to keep you much longer. I'm sure you've got so much to do, but how does the Army prepare for a multi-day event like the Nike Indoor Nationals?
In some respect, it's easy for us. And by that, I mean, by the time Nike Indoor Nationals comes, we've already done 100 plus track meets in this season.
Mm-hmm.
So our team is truly a well-oiled machine by this stage. We are first and foremost a track and field facility, and we make no compromises for that. So whether it's our climbing team, our AV team, our meet management team, our social media team, every aspect is geared toward track and field. So by this point in the season, we're sort of poetry in motion. That being said, for an event like this and like the Millrose games, our staff accordions outward. So our full-time staff brings in a lot of additional people. They all know their roles and responsibilities, and we all spend a lot of very long hours here, both preparing it and executing it. It's about making the experience unforgettable for both the athletes and the spectators. And I have sometimes said that if you're a, Noah Lyles, or if you're a Cole Hawker or Sidney McLaughlin, and 30 years from now, you look back in your career, I want you to remember your time at the Armory as being special. Or if you're a 50-year-old athlete who the last time you ran was in high school and you were the slowest person on your team, I want you to also remember your time at the Armory being a very special time that you're not going to forget. And I think our whole staff internalizes that. And that's the experience we want for both the family member, the spectator, the
Oh,
fan,
wow.
and the athlete.
I follow you guys on Instagram, and I think I've seen you host marathons on the track. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
How many laps is that?
It's 211 laps.
Oh my goodness.
A bunch of years ago, CJ Albertson came here and did a 217 and
Wow.
change on the track. It's mainly a team event. It's mainly a fundraiser for our nonprofit where so many groups of people from large New York companies and small New York companies get together and they chop up the marathon among 7 or 8 people at their company. And it's a wonderfully fun event. It's at the end of April each year. People can learn about it by going to www.indoormarathon.org. And we already have 165 teams signed up. We have room for 200 teams, so we're going to be sold out this year. It's
Wow.
spread out over a 4-day period. It's great fun. It really is.
Well, Jonathan, you got me fired up. I've never been to the Armory, and gosh, I'm looking forward to it now. I was always looking forward to it, but now I'm even more looking forward to it. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know you've got lots to do there. It's a big week for you guys. It sounds like every week's a big week there for you guys. And thank you so much. And I look forward to being there. And I think our viewers who are not going to be able to make it can watch it on Runner Space Plus and check it out too, and other events that happen, and get a better feel for the Armory and its history and its current events. So Jonathan, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me.
All right. Well, I'm happy to have Oliver Hinson here. He's a freelance writer. He writes for a number of publications, including DyeStat, Runner's World, Citius Mag, MileSplit, and others. This week, he'll be at the Nike Indoor Nationals covering with DyeStat. Oliver, welcome.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So, Oliver, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe some of your running connections to the sport?
Sure. So, I mean, I've been running myself for about 4 years now, pretty seriously, and I've been freelancing for a little over 2 years now. Got into it just because, I mean, my coach was really passionate about the sport, and he got me connected with a lot of great people. And I believe you're reading from my bio there somewhere, but most of my work that I do now is for DyeStat, about 99% of it. Moving towards 100% of it. So yeah, I've been working with them for a little over a year now. That's been great. Got to go to a lot of stuff. Actually, the first meet that I covered for them ever was Nike Indoor Nationals last year. So kind of full circle this weekend. So yeah, it's been really great to combine writing and running, like the two things that I'm very passionate about. And yeah, it's a dream job.
And you live on the East Coast, is that correct?
Yes, I am from the great city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I go to college in Washington, D.C. at American University. Right now, I'm actually back in Pittsburgh for spring break for a few days.
Are you what are you a junior or a senior? Or?
Technically a sophomore, but I'll be graduating next spring.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're doing a lot for, I would tell you, when I was your age at that same time, I was just trying to master how to cook macaroni and cheese. So you're doing amazing.
Well, I'm actually also, I mean, not to toot my own horn, I feel like I'm a pretty decent cook.
Okay, good.
Which has been very useful living off campus this year in my apartment. I don't have to rely on a meal plan anymore.
Oh, nice.
But yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Nike Indoor Meet, which you'll be at this weekend. The first distance race, we're going to just focus on, I'm a cross country account, so we're going to focus on the distance races. On Thursday, there's the 5,000 meters championship races. Oliver, who do you see doing well on the 5,000 on Thursday?
Now, in the girls' race, I think it's a little more open and shut. As long as the entry lists haven't changed, I believe Jane Hedingren is in that race.
Right.
And yeah, there's absolutely no chance. I don't want to say no chance, but I think she definitely is going to win that. And I think in probably a very impressive time. Um, yeah, I really don't see anyone challenging her. Let me just look at who all I've been looking, but it's been hard to kind of remember everything. But
Rosario Macchia of William
yeah,
Ford
Zariel
will be
Maki
there
is in
too.
that race, and she honestly she has a lot of momentum coming into
Yeah,
this right now. I wouldn't be surprised if she was second behind Jane,
right.
because after winning that appeal to run at New York State's and doing pretty well there, she ran a 9:22 in the 3K. Clearly, she's really fit. And I think a lot of the East Coast runners will have a bit of an advantage. Not only is it closer to them, not only is this really close for Zariel, but they've also just like they've had a lot more indoor experience.
Right.
Indoor is just a lot more popular over here.
Correct.
Yeah, definitely would expect Zariel to be probably second. I mean, there's other good names in there. Riley and Emily, Riley Blade and Emily Wisniewski. I think I mean, they've historically been really strong. I would definitely expect to see them in the top five. But yeah, this is one of those. This is one of those open and shut races. I think it's Jane's race all the way.
And on the boys' side, it seems like there's a bunch of kids that could do well.
Yeah, there's no like I don't want to say that obviously there's a lot of very strong runners, but there was no one that really jumped off the page and seemed like wow, it's this person's race. I don't know how to pronounce Malachi. How do you pronounce that last name? I feel like you would know.
Shoner.
Schoner. Yeah, I mean he's a top seed and he's had a really strong cross country season. So have so has Brogan Collins, Jack Bowen. I feel like this one. I don't know. It's really tough to actually make a call here. But yeah, I feel like any name that I throw out, like, could very easily come out and win.
The other thing
I'll
too,
go with
Oliver, is the fact that high school kids don't really run the 5,000 on a track. So
yeah,
I mean, like
yeah,
Jane Hendrickson was on DyeStat, I think yesterday, or was saying, "I've never run this race before. We'll see what happens."
yeah. It's a very and that like that definitely will play into it. Like if it in a close race, I think the girls' race is just one of those races where yeah, her fitness will carry her through, but this boys' race is absolutely going to be who can handle like it I feel like it's something like a lot of races are very determined by the training that leads into it. Who is most fit on the line? You really can't overcome a gap in fitness that's pretty big. But this is a really close race, so it really may come down to who actually races it the best.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and like you said, you don't really don't no high school kids are really running the 5K on the track that much, for good reason. I've run a few track 5Ks myself, and it's not a particularly fun race. I can't imagine indoors is much better.
Right.
25 laps.
Yeah. Right. Indoors is a different beast with the 200-meter track. Right.
Yeah, you got to stay super focused,
Mhm.
super committed. I'll go with Jack Bowen.
Okay.
That's my pick. Why not?
All right. I like it. Jack Bowen. I'll write that down. Jack Bowen. All right. So then on Friday, we go to the 2 mile. And on the girls' side, it seems like there's a lot of kids that could run well in the girls' 2 mile on Friday.
Yes, this is a stacked 2 mile, very stacked. Obviously, like top two really jump off the page. Ritzenhein and Sophia Rodriguez, both of them really have been dominant at national meets. I think Addison Ritzenhein has definitely had the most success. But she hasn't raced that much this indoor season. She was in Boston once, I believe, but other than that, she doesn't have too much indoor experience. But obviously they've been training a lot. I would not be surprised to see there's one name that I think might get lost, and that is Lily Alder.
Yes,
I believe that's Jane's teammate.
right.
And like that Tim View team is doing a lot of great stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, just and you can't really overstate how much that altitude helps.
Right.
And she did run a 10:22 at Simplot. So like I'm no conversion whiz, but I would say she has as
Oh
strong
yeah.
a shot as any. So I would expect the winner to be between Ritzenhein, Rodriguez, or Alder. And because I'm a fan of chaos, I'll say Lily Alder.
Okay, nice. And then I think the boys race is also has a lot of big names in it too.
Yes, also a pretty stacked field. Evan Noonan is the top seed, but also another guy who I don't even think he's raced at all this indoor season. I don't think he's raced since cross country. So it would be mighty impressive to open up your season at a national meet and take the win. I mean, that's quite a feat. So I think the guy with the most momentum right now is Corbin Combs, who's in the mile and the 2 mile. I think he would. I would not be surprised if he wins. And he's got that kid. Corbin has a lot of range. He has run like a 152 in the 800. Just ran 401 a few weeks ago, and he's got his seat is 853 in the
Mhm.
2 mile. I like he can do it all, and I think he's in the mile and 2 mile. I would definitely expect him to win at least one of those. And again, he's an altitude kid. And one of the things he told me when I was talking to him in Philly a few weeks ago, he said like his seasons consistently, like he consistently just develops a lot over the season. His times drop over the season. And um, I would not be surprised if he's in some really, really good shape right now. I think another name, Charlie Valse is actually a little bit down on that list, but you can't count out
Right.
an NXN champion.
Absolutely.
So I would expect him to. I don't know. I feel like he'll be hit or miss. I would expect. I don't know. Part of me is like, yeah, he's an NXN champion. He's proved that he can beat competition, and he's proved that mental toughness is a strength for him, obviously. So I definitely would not be surprised if he finds his way into the top five. But also, I mean, it's just a huge list of guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Tommy Latham is in there too.
Hmm.
Again, he's only raced at the Melrose Games. I think I'm going to go with Corbin just because he has a lot of
All right.
experience so far this season, and he's really on a roll.
Okay, now we're going to go from Friday to Sunday. The next distance championship races are the 800 and the mile. Who do you see running well in the 800 for the girls on Sunday?
For the girls. So we're going to get the tough one out of the way first.
Okay.
So yeah, this one there's a lot of good names here, and it's going to be really really tight. Obviously, McElhenney jumps off the page. But I think Reagan Moore
Megan
from
Moore.
New
Okay.
Jersey. Yeah, she is a sophomore, but she has been running really well lately. Just
Okay.
dropped her PR by a lot at the New Jersey Champions Meet. And like I've looked through her results, and she seems to do really well. She seems to really thrive off of good competition, like anyone. But I feel like it's very pronounced with her. She seems to drop her PRs by a lot whenever she goes up against good competition. And this is going to be a pretty tight race. So yeah, I think we've seen a lot of young competitors do really well here. And yeah, I would not be surprised at all. I'm gonna go with Reagan Moore.
Okay. And then on the boys 800, well, tell me about that one.
Well, that's an easy one.
Yeah, that's what I
You
thought.
probably heard the name, Cooper. Not exactly sure. How do you pronounce that last
I
name?
don't know. Lukenhaus? What's that?
Lukenhouse. That sounds right. But yes, he is again, never want to say always or never in this game, but yeah, I would be very shocked if he doesn't win. Now, I don't know if we're gonna see. I definitely don't think we're gonna see a new record.
Right.
Maybe a meet record, but I don't think he's gonna break his PR. That would be really difficult to do solo. Um, Now maybe he no one else in this field has a seat under 150. I think maybe he'll pull some kids to a sub 150. And I think that would be a pretty tight race. I think it really depends on how he chooses to race it.
Hmm.
Maybe he just goes out from the front and is like just puts a gap on him immediately. Maybe he lets him hang around a little bit. So yeah, I think as far as excitement in that race, I am definitely more in the camp that's been growing for the last couple of years, that racing is more exciting than fast times. I used to not
Right.
be in that camp. Like when I
Mhm.
was first getting into the sport, I was super fascinated by the sub 4 chase and all of that.
Mhm.
But now I'm getting to see, especially this year with how impermanent records are looking,
Right.
um, it's definitely more exciting to see some good competition. So I think the most exciting aspect of that race might be uh, who's fighting for second and third, or maybe it is maybe some kids will be really happy by getting pulled to a sub 150.
Okay. Yeah, that he's really impressive. That what he did at Millrose was incredible.
Yeah,
And what he did last year, I saw him at the Brooks PR, and then a couple days later, I think he was at. I'm pretty sure I saw him at Nike Outdoors too, and he was a freshman. He was a freshman. He's just amazing
yeah,
last year, and so I was like, "Whoa, this is incredible." The
yeah. There's some
potential.
kids that come out and like just immediately you know that they're gonna be like a star.
Yeah,
It's yeah, he's incredible,
he is
just
incredible.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah, maybe even the range of like eventually moving up to the mile and other races too.
Yeah, that's yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of the mile, what a nice transition. The last championship distance race, individual distance race, is the mile. It's both of them are pretty stacked because all the different athletes that we saw in the earlier races are all with a few newcomers will be in the mile. What do you see in the girls' mile?
In the girls' mile, I see a pretty good showdown between Dylan McElhenney and Zariel Makia. Some New York rivals, maybe. Gotta, I don't know, I don't want to sow any rivalries that aren't there, but I think it could be a fun one. They didn't believe it. I don't think they raced at New York States. I think McElhenney was in the 1500, Makia was in the 3K.
Okay.
So they didn't see each other in those races, but yeah, they're both really on a roll. Maki has a lot of momentum, but of course, these two are really great. But Jane Hedengren is in the
Okay.
race,
Yes.
so yeah, I we'll see if she's tired at all from the 5K. But of course,
That's on
all of these
Thursday.
girls are, yeah, and all of these girls are also doubling back or tripling back. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a Jane Hedengren double
Okay.
here.
Yeah. And then on the boys, same with the girls, a lot of kids returning from other races. Couple of new names. Who do you see in the boys' mile?
So yeah, we got a new name there, Caden Leonard. I don't believe I saw him in the two
No, I didn't
mile.
either.
And but again, up top you have Corbin Combs, TJ Hansen, Evan Noonan. Again, Noonan hasn't really raced. I think it's going to be another one between Corbin and TJ Hansen. Um, and if they go 1-2 in the 2 mile, they might go 1-2 in the mile, and
Mhm.
maybe obviously you want to get some revenge. So I took Corbin in the mile in the 2 mile. I wouldn't be surprised to see him double. Like I said, I would not be surprised at all to see Corbin win the mile in the 2 mile, but I will take TJ Hansen for the mile.
Okay. All
And
right.
chip on his shoulder, he'll come out last distance race, he'll deliver. We've seen some gutsy performances from that kid. I mean, crawling across the line at NXR. Yeah, I think you put a chip on his shoulder, he'll deliver.
Okay. Well, Oliver, I sure appreciate all your insight. I'm glad I'm talking to you. My thing is called West Coast XE. So I know the West Coast kids really well, and I don't know the other kids as well. I'll see them like at national meets. And so you've obviously done your research. You've done, either seen them in person or watched them at meets on the eastern side of the United States. And looking forward to meeting you this weekend, and also looking forward to seeing your preview on DyeStat, and you're doing interviews of athletes after the races are over at Nike Indoors.
Oh yeah, yeah, a bunch of them. We'll probably me and me and some other guys, me and Ricky Quintana. So I think between the two of us, you might see 80, 80, I don't want to throw out a number, but you will see dozens and dozens and dozens of interviews on DyeStat.
Well, Oliver, I really appreciate you coming on, and we'll look forward to your coverage this weekend. And thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to meeting you.
You're welcome. We want to thank our two guests, Jonathan Schindel of the Armory and Oliver Hinson of DyeStat, for coming on. They are East Coast people, and so to arrange their schedule so that they could be on the West Coast and record for us is really quite generous of them. I appreciate them doing that. And we will be, like I said, at Nike Indoor Nationals. I'm super excited to go there. Never been to the Armory, so listening to Jonathan Schindel give us the description of the Armory was super exciting for me because I'd never been there. And also listening to Oliver talk about the athletes that we don't normally see on the West Coast, and his insight was awesome also. We'll be taking pictures at the meet and then trying our best to get them up as soon as possible. So hopefully, Thursday's races you'll see on Friday and such as the week goes along. And so look for those on our website, westcoastxc.com. Look for announcements on our Instagram account. Please follow us on Instagram too. That'd be awesome. Until next time, West Coast is the best coast, but we're going East Coast.